We have an amazing roster of doers and achievers, each of whom has contributed in some special way to the Upper Delaware Scenic and Recreational River Valley. But first, before I get started, I want to specifically recognize and thank our staff here, Lori, Travis, and Cindy, for their dedication. They do a wonderful job day in and day out, and I want to thank them. And I want to thank each and every member of the council. Council members have no small job. John McPhee, in his book on shad, The Founding Fish, observed that the Delaware is the only major river in the continental 48 states not to be dammed. And we, the council, have been charged by Congress to oversee the future of the Upper Delaware. In Jeff Dexter's bio, there was a quote there that caught my eye. He made a very astute observation in saying that the Upper Delaware, it is virtually unheard of for any government agency to allow a citizens group to oversee a river as important as the Delaware. So it's a huge task, but a very important one. Stand on the banks of the Upper Delaware, and you cannot be but awed by its magnificence and majesty. This force of nature in our backyards deserves good stewardship. Day in and day out, the council strives to preserve and protect this national treasure for future generations. Reaching consensus on the UDC has not been an easy task lately. Everything has been vigorously debated. We really get both sides, and things are battled out pretty good, but occasionally we do come to consensus and we successfully work out a position. We try to express our position, and it is discouraging when our input is not acknowledged by our partner states and other agencies, including the decree parties. It is not helpful when the very agencies we are to collaborate with seem too busy to hear our messages. This is why, when I was named chair of the UDC, I wanted to reach out to Congressman Chris Gibson to see if we could strengthen our voice on river issues. We very much need the weight and backing of the congressman to help us in the fulfillment of our stewardship of this beautiful river. Chris Gibson represents a district that includes, we're all here tonight, the towns of Lumberland, Highland, Tustin, Callicoon, Coshocton, Delaware, and Fremont, and we're lucky to have him. Congressman Gibson has a sterling record. His biography is impressive, beginning with his academic achievements, magna cum laude graduation, honors at Siena, MPA, PhD in government from Cornell, then a distinguished 24-year Army career, including 7 deployments, 4 combat tours to Iraq, deployment to Kosovo, a U.S. counter-drug operation in command of the 82nd Airborne Division, 2nd Brigade Combat Team in the Haitian Humanitarian Relief Operation. He was highly decorated for his service and retired in 2010 with the rank of Colonel. He was elected as our congressman in 2010 and re-elected in 2012. It is my honor and privilege to present our keynote speaker, the Honorable Chris Gibson.
Let me just start by saying that this is an honor for me to be here. You know, great admiration and respect for the passion that you bring to the issue, to the detail, the expertise, and the persistence that you bring to this very important set of issues. And I wish I could have been here earlier. It's been a full day of advocacy just coming from Mohonk House, and we're talking about Lyme disease there. But I will tell you this much: I'll stay late. I mean, I'm going to stay. I'm going to enjoy the award ceremony, and I'll stay as long as anyone here would like to talk. I normally like to do that during the cocktail hour, and regret I didn't have that opportunity. But I'm going to make up for it on the back end. And of course, in addition to all the towns enumerated here just moments ago, in Sullivan County, of course, we've got Deer Park in Orange County, and we also have Hancock in Delaware County, and then we have from 2 different counties in Pennsylvania. So, I think this is a great example for our country. We've got an organization here that reaches across state lines, it reaches across county lines, and it certainly reaches across all lines, any kind of ideological party lines, because you're looking to find that you have a cause of what you want to advance, and that really is the spirit of the organization. And you do it so enormously well. I like to follow you guys. You may not even know that. I look at your newsletter. I enjoy all the stories and the photos that go along with it. And I've enjoyed the visits to Washington, D.C., and then meeting some folks right here in the district. I've found that we're kindred spirits. The things that you are passionate about, I am as well. But more important than that is that we're utterly aligned in terms of what my role is. My role is to be a representative and to give you a voice. I noticed that was in your charter. Your purpose is you're looking to have a voice, and you do. So, we're going to work together going forward. Your studies, I know that you're in contact with some important folks in academia that are bringing science to bear, and I look forward to putting cover letter on that and asking for a response. I've had, in my travels, I've had a chance to meet with 2 of the parties in the decree. So we're talking about here the DEP and the DEC, and of course then we reach across 3 states as well, in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. Very important issue to our region. If you think about after the census, which we do every 10 years, and then we reapportion, this was a real opportunity, because for the first time in anyone's memory, the watershed in New York, at least west of the Hudson River, is all in one congressional district. So there's a real opportunity to represent now. There is part of the watershed, the New York City watershed, that's on the east side of the river that's outside the district, although we actually have portions of the watershed on the east side in our district as well, in Dutchess County. The point is, we can bring efficacy, we can bring strength, and we can stand on an issue so that we can make progress. Now, towards that end, I think Andy alluded to it earlier this evening. After the election in November, we pulled together a watershed advisory group for the purpose of listening. And because what I had heard is, as the redistricting had transpired, is that there's so many different viewpoints. You're never going to be able to get everybody on the same page when it comes to the watershed. That's not been my experience. I mean, if we can get the sheikhs of northern Iraq to get on the same page, we absolutely can get America to get on the same page. And absolutely believe that. So animating the work here is the belief that we can at once, we can deliver clean water to New York City, which has been our mission here for a little over 100 years. We can continue to do that, but we can bring it in balance with the needs of our communities across state lines here, represented in UDC. We can represent the interests that includes, first and foremost, the safety of our people and our property, but it also includes the vitality and the viability of our region. And I must tell you that I was very encouraged, not surprised, but very encouraged to read your recent report. I'll say more about that in a second, because I think it's going to provide great strength for us going forward. But the Watershed Advisory Group, after having listened, it took us about 4 to 5 months or so to listen to so many different voices. And now we've begun our advocacy in earnest now for several months. And we've noticed that it's made a difference. We have not solved all our problems by a long stretch. But in terms of investments from DEP and, the state into our areas, we're starting to see an uptick in investments. We've also expressed our viewpoints up here that we think needed to be heard. Little things like when you look at the budget in the DEP, how significant it is, and yet the city was suing towns in some cases for going back over their tax burden. And our point is, from our area, is look, you get like this much, and think of all the ill will that you create with that kind of endeavor. We're better to sit down and mediate these things and work our way through than to pursue legal action. And now, of course, in flow, in flexible flow, the management program, the FFMP, we're in the throes of renegotiation for the new phase or for the new period for the FFMP. Now, it is because of that and the need to provide the best voice possible that I volunteered to get on the Delaware River Basin Commission, the DRBC. And so now I'm one of 3 of the co-chairs of the DRBC. That would also include Charlie Dent, who is from Pennsylvania, and John Carney, who is from Delaware. And so that provides for these voices, so we have an opportunity to be involved in that. So, but I do want to tell you that when I talked about how impressed that I am, I've noticed, since your charter in 1988, that you've only continued to get stronger, and we're at an important moment. I think that particularly with the FFMP, that we gain some concessions is one way of perhaps looking at it, but really just bringing more in balance. The need to have policy that pursues the broad goals of not only the clean water to the city, but also recognizing our needs up here in upstate New York and in Pennsylvania. So in addition to those members, I'll just tell you that Tom Marino is also a friend of mine. For those here from Pennsylvania, I feel like he's somebody I can work with, and as he represents you. And as we look at the broad goals that you have in terms of conservation and tourism and flow, I just want to tell you that this is something that we share all throughout the 19th Congressional District. Not just the UDC, but really when you look across the entire 11 counties that comprise the 19th Congressional District, conservation is a huge issue for us. And we were able to take action on that in a law recently enacted. And that was the Farm Bill, the U.S. Federal Farm Bill, which had a strong conservation title. I realize that not in all cases is that conservation title directly in point to what you're pursuing, but I think it's also illustrative of the fact that there is more recognition of how important conservation is for all of us. In my home county, I'm from Columbia County, in the town of Kinderhook, we had, while I was still in the Army, I would hear of reports of fights among the various, some who were self-described as environmentalists, and others who self-described as those that were trying to advance the economy. And from the vantage point of somebody, I guess you might say, removed to a degree because of my time in different locations, it didn't seem like there was real major differences between the two. And along comes Peter Padden, who leads our land conservancy, the Columbia County Land Conservancy. And he actually did a visual aid, a map, that laid out the county, and he used color code. And the darkest green was where we had the best farmland, and then we had light green for pretty darn good farmland. And anyways, what this map allowed our county to do was realize that they were fighting in some cases over nothing, because we were not going to develop in the very best farmland. We want our very best farmland to stay farmed. So, and then by inverse, you might say, in areas that it wasn't dark green or light green, that would allow for smart development. And we realized that we can actually work together on that. So in the Farm Bill, this is what we look to strengthen. So for our dairy, fruit and vegetable growers, we've got a strong title that can help with the easement, which is a commitment, a pledge that we're going to keep that best farmland farming, and then we the taxpayers, we help that farmer. And that's also something really important. And we do not want to see our family farms fail. That would be, in my view, a travesty. The farmers represent all that's good in our country, but beyond that, it's also a national security issue. Because if we lose our family farms, we're still going to eat. We're going to end up importing food, which means we're going to have food security issues, And then we're going to end up probably adversely, in my view, and I think I can say this with experience, it's going to impact our foreign policy. And we don't want that to happen. So, I mean, the conservation, what I'm laying out for you here is the nexus between agriculture and tourism, which is so important to upstate New York, and at the center of that is agritourism. And that's why conservation makes total sense. And anybody, I get the opportunity to meet so many different groups in the 19th Congressional District, but when I hear folks that occasionally want to attack these programs, these conservation programs, I listen to them, and then I really try to broaden their perspective to explain to them how important this is from every single direction you can imagine. So I know that you share a passion for that, and we certainly, we do this together. Tourism. And I know, in our district, of course, we've got the Hall of Fame, Baseball Hall of Fame, we've got ski, we've got incredible ski facilities, but we've also got the best fly fishing in the world, right here. So, and we're proud of the museum here. It's an important part of the local economy, and it's just something so beautiful and so, and to be so proud of. And that's got to be part of the conversation here, because we are in some degree dependent on the cold water releases that come out of our reservoirs. So, this gets me to the point of your study, which I read with keen interest. And I find it very encouraging. I think that you've documented very clearly that we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars impact in terms of the need for consistent flow, cold water flow. And, the direct impact on the fishing industry documented, the impact on water sports right here documented, the impact on property values, which has cascading effects across our life up here, including a reach back now to New York City. So that, and in my meetings with DEP, they've actually been productive. I've had an opportunity to listen, and I've had an opportunity to convey what I'm hearing from our constituents. And what I'm trying to do is find that space where I think that they understand it's in their interest. Because, having a flourishing form of life for us is in their interest. Because when we're not growing and when we're not flourishing, we're not accepting that. And we want to work harder, and that means we're looking at issue areas that we have problems with, and among them, is this what we perceived as an injustice and really a suboptimal policy as it relates to flow. So I think the study is very timely, and it's going to be helpful to us as we move forward on that. So let me just say then, in conclusion, that Andy, I appreciate the vision that he has. I appreciate the teamwork here, and I think the timing of this of the study, the opportunity for me to be with you, is really good timing, and this is going to give me the opportunity to go back with my colleagues in the Congress who are on the DRBC to express what I've heard here today, and as importantly, to communicate to those who are part of the DRBC, what the interests are here, particularly for the UDC, but as in terms of what I've heard from you, but also really from my role as the 19th Congressional District Representative. Because in addition to the concerns that I hear in the UDC, I also have concerns of folks who, we had loss of life up here in upstate New York after Irene and Lee. We had significant property damage, and if we can adjust our policy, and we're not talking about radical adjustments, we're talking about policies that can be adjusted over time and in ways that mitigate any kind of concern about the mission of clean water to the city. If we're able to work together on this, then I think that we can all benefit from that, and our best days will still be in front of us. So again, I'm going to stick around and be with you throughout the evening, but it really means a lot that you reached out for me to have the opportunity to be with you, and I look forward to the hard work ahead of us. And know this, that I'm no stranger to hard work, and I'm no stranger to you know, I mean, sometimes you get 3 yards, maybe even 2, in a cloud of dust. But you dust yourself off, you get back in the huddle, and you get the play called, and you get back on the line of scrimmage. And that means that it's a campaign. It's longer than just one particular moment in time, and it's even more than one particular issue. It's about a relationship. It's about a relationship with all the parties that are involved here. It's about mutual respect for everybody, and it's about reaching that mediated point where we know that everyone's thoughts and interests have been considered so that we can advance the interest of all. So thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. God bless you.
I want to thank the Congressman for the wonderful remarks. He couldn't have said it better. What he said was so music to my ears. And we know that he'll always be a great advocate for us, but we do want to give him a reminder. Now, we've all heard of the great photographer Ansel Adams, did the pictures out. We have our own Ansel Adams here. We want to give you this gift. We'd like you to open it, and hopefully that'll make its way to your office in Washington. That is Dave Soti, who's our resident public photography.
It's not only beautiful, I can't even imagine how you got a photo like that. But I'm going to proudly display it in our DC office, and along with so many other photos and prints that illustrate the beauty. Yeah, and of course I'm biased, but I think we have the most beautiful congressional district in the country, and this will be, we'll be proud to put this right alongside of it. Thank you. Thank you.